Welcome to machine learning course. This is lecture number 3. In this lecture, we will discuss about support vector machine type of classifier. In this classifier, we will use a concept known as support vectors. First of all, we will discuss what is support vector. For example, if your database consists of two features, x1 and x2, and there are two categories, present in your database. One category is cross and one category is circle. In one category, there are cross. In second category, there are circles. So there will be some circles in category 1. Suppose this is category 1 and this is category 2. So in first category, we have crosses as majority and circles as minority. While in second class or second category, we have circles in majority and crosses as minority. We'll draw one more circle and one more cross here. Now suppose I want to add some data into the database and I want to decide in which class this point should fall. For that purpose, we will consider two elements in the dataset. That two elements are called as support vectors. Now I want to include this new point in either class 1 or class 2, category 1 or category 2. So on what basis I should do this classification? On what basis I should apply or I should put this new data point into one of the classes? So for that purpose, we will use the support vectors. So support vectors are nothing but the vectors or the points which are present close to the boundary or close to the line. That line is called as boundary. So this line is nothing but the decision boundary. So points which are closer to this decision boundary are nothing but support vectors, and they are from the opposite categories. Now here this circle is minority element of category 1, so it becomes the support vector for this category. So this will be the support vector for category 1 because it is from minority, it is from the class 2 or category 2. Similarly, this cross is near to this boundary, so it becomes support vector. So this becomes support vector here. This cross becomes support vector for category 2. So these yellow circle or these yellow colored data points are nothing but support vectors. So using the support vectors, we will decide on what category these new data points will fall. So these data points are at equidistance. They are at equidistant from the decision boundary. So this is the important feature of support vectors. Now this concept we can apply when the category or when the elements can be linearly separated. That means there are two classes visible, but sometimes you have the data which is non-linearly separable. Now there are two types of data. We will discuss this in detail. So some crosses are there and some circles are there. Here in between these crosses we have some circles as a minority data points, and in these circles we have some crosses as the minority data points. So this type of data can be divided into classes by drawing a line. So this type of classification is, or this type of data is called as linearly separable data. Linearly separable data, where the data can be divided into two classes or two separate sections by drawing a line. This is boundary. But in some cases, we have the data which is non-linearly separable. For example, suppose we have some crosses here and circles which is mixed type of data. So in this case, by drawing a single line will not solve our problem, because on one side there will be equal amount of circles and crosses, and on second side, other side, we have same number of circles and crosses. That means this is not the right classification, right? It is wrong classification. So in this case, what we'll do, we will shift this data into higher dimension. So suppose this data is in 2D, two-dimensional data. So this type of data is called as non-linearly separable data. That means we cannot separate the data, or we cannot classify the data by drawing one line. So this is non-linearly separable data. So in this case, we'll transform this 2D data into three-dimensional data. So how to shift, we'll see that. So this is your 2D data in which some crosses, this is category 1 and this is category 2. So this is two-dimensional data. So we will shift this data into higher dimension by using functions. There are multiple functions like linear function, Gaussian functions. These functions we use in SVM. So these functions will shift the data to the higher dimension. So what we'll do, we will place this inner portion or inner category to the higher dimension. We'll put this cross sections, this category, to the higher dimension, to the upper side. We will lift this cross to the higher dimension, so that it will appear like this, the Z axis. This is XYZ, so it will look like this. This is your cross category, and this is your circle category. So using some kernels like linear Gaussian, we are shifting this to higher dimension, and this middle is nothing but this plane which separates these two classes is called as hyperplane. So this yellow color line is nothing but this line, which is hyperplane. And then we, after shifting to higher dimension, we will again shift it to its original dimension, that is 2D, after processing this data. So After processing on the data, after shifting this from lower dimension to higher dimension and processing on the data, we will reshift it to its original dimension, that is 2D. So this boundary, initially this boundary was not there. So because of the shifting between 2D to 3D, we are getting this boundary, and then as an output we'll get this boundary. So this is the right classification, this is the right decision boundary we will obtain at the end. So this is nothing but non-linear separation, where the data is mixed data. It is not linearly separated, it is not linearly separable. So in case of non-linear separable data, we will use some functions like Gaussian function. If you observe the curve of Gaussian, this type of function, so we will use to lift the data to higher dimension, and then again we can shift the data to lower dimension original form after processing on that data. So this is 2D. So this is important. So this is the main concept of SVM. Here we shift the non-linearly separable data, which is mixed data, to higher dimension, and after processing on the data, we will reshift it to its original dimension using some functions, some kernels. We'll look at the code of this SVM. So here initial step is, as we have discussed in the previous lectures, the first step is to import the libraries. Three libraries we are using: NumPy, Matplotlib, and Pandas. We are using same dataset as we have discussed in the logistic regression case, which is social network ads. We are performing same classification on the same dataset, but previously it was logistic regression. This time it was SVM. It is SVM. So the dataset we are using is social networking ads, in which there are multiple columns and multiple rows. So out of this, we are taking column number 2 and 3 as input and column number 4 as output. We are observing based on age of person and his estimated salary, whether that person will purchase the product or not. If product is not purchased, that means it is 0. If product is purchased, that means it is 1. So here we are considering only two columns, column number 2 and 3 as an input, and column number 4 as output, as a classification output. So this is X, Y is nothing but output, which is column number 4. The problem statement is same as we have discussed in the previous logistic regression lecture. So those who are not watched that lecture 8, please visit the channel and watch the lecture number 2, which is logistic regression. Now previous steps are similar here. We are dividing our data set into two parts. First, we have divided into input and output. We have taken column number 2 and 3 as input, so X, column number 4 as output. Again, we are dividing the data into training and testing. So as you know, this is our data. So where X is the input, Y is output, column number 2 and 3 the input, column number 4 as output. Again, we are dividing the data into two parts, training and testing. And we are assigning 4 variables. So this is X train, the input training part. This is Y train, the output training part. This portion is your X test, the input testing part. And this is your Y test, output testing part. So for training purpose, we provide X train and Y train to the machine. We are telling machine that if X train applied as an input, then we are getting Y train as the output. So this is training part, and then we are applying X test on the machine. Machine will generate its own result, which we will store in one variable Y parade, and then we will compare this Y parade with Y test using using confusion matrix. So we will apply this to the confusion matrix, and from confusion matrix we will get accuracy. So those who want to learn about confusion matrix, just visit lecture number 2. In that lecture we have already discussed this in detail, what is confusion matrix and how to find the accuracy using confusion matrix. Same thing we are doing again. There is only one change in this algorithm than previous algorithm. We will discuss this one by one. Now we have already discussed about this. In this part, from sklearn dot model underscore selection, import train underscore test underscore split, we have divided our data set into 4 parts: X train, Y train, X test, and Y test. Then, since our data set consists of the different inputs like age is 2-digit number and salary is multiple digit number, 4 or 5-digit number. So to get the matching between these inputs, we have to scale these inputs to a fixed scale, single scale, because this is a 2-digit number and this is multiple digit number. So mismatch will occur there and it will not give a good accurate prediction. So to get the good accurate prediction, we have to scale these inputs. For that purpose, we will use this standard scaler, sklearn preprocessing. We are applying this scaling only on the input because y is in form of 0 and 1. So no need to apply scaling on y. Again, we are using dot fit underscore transform for the training because we have already seen that dot fit command is used for training purpose. So to scale the training input, we have to apply dot fit underscore transform. But here we are not using dot fit because it is a testing part. So for that purpose, we have to use only dot transform. So X test, we are using only dot transform. Using dot transform, you can shift you can scale your input. So these are the scaled inputs X underscore train, X underscore test. After that, we are using SVC class and sklearn.svm, which is inbuilt class SVC. And to access the elements of this class, we are using the object classifier. All these concepts of object-oriented programming and about scaling, feature scaling, we have discussed in our earlier previous lectures. So please visit these lectures to know more about feature scaling, more about the confusion matrix. And as I said, in SVM, we have to use functions to transform the data, to transform your input data into a higher dimension, to shift the data from 2 dimensional to 3 dimensional. So we have to use that kernels. So here, that kernel I am using is linear. You can use Gaussian kernel also, depending on your data. Now, in this case, the data is linearly separable, as we have seen the output in the logistic regression, the same data set we are using here. So no need to use Gaussian kernel here. By using linear kernel also, you can have the output, you can have the result. Because this data is linearly separable data. We have already seen in the previous lecture that we are getting the output which is linearly separable in case of logistic regression. So I am again repeating, you have to visit the previous lecture to get better understanding on this because the things are similar. So kernel we are using is linear and random state I am keeping at 0. Then this is training part. So for that we have to use dot fit command because we use dot fit command for training and we use dot predict command for testing or for prediction. As I said, training is done on X train and Y train. So these two should be the inputs to dot fit So when we are using dot fit, we have to apply X10 and Y10 because we are telling the machine that when X10 is applied, we are getting Y10 as the output. So we should get this output after applying this input. These things we have to tell to the machine for the training part. So that's why there are two things, X10 and Y10. And then comes prediction. So to predict, we have to use the same object name which is classifier dot predict. And here for prediction, we have to use only input which we are applying as a for the testing. In this case, we are again taking test size as 1 by 4. That means 0.25. After applying this input, the machine will generate its own output, which is ypred. Ypred, we will store this in one variable, ypred, and then we will compare this with actual output because after application of X test, we should get Y test according to the data set. These are the values which are present in the data set. And we'll compare these two. Now, how to compare? So using confusion matrix, we will compare ypred and Y test. So the whole algorithm is based on this diagram only. Once again, I will repeat. First, we have to divide our data set into two parts, X and Y, input and output. We have to tell the machine that consider these two columns as an input and this column as output. Then we will divide the data set again into two parts, training and testing. So the input train part we will assign one variable X underscore train. Output training part we will assign one variable Y underscore train. And input testing part will assign variable X underscore test. Output testing part will assign variable Y underscore test. Now how to do training? We will apply X10 and Y10 as input. How to do testing? We will apply only X test as an input. The output of X test, the machine will generate some output that we will store in one variable ypred, and then we will compare the machine generated output with actual output. Actual output is Y test. So we will use confusion matrix for that. What is confusion matrix? You just visit our previous lecture to know about confusion matrix in detail. Now same thing we are doing here. We are using from sklearn dot matrices import confusion matrix, and then we are printing that matrix. And the last part we have already discussed in the previous class. We just refer our previous class, which is on logistic regression, to know more about this plotting, how to plot. So this is the output of this. Okay. So in this case, we are using age and estimated salary to predict the output or to classify the output. As I discussed in previous lecture, we are scaling the inputs first because the inputs are differently scaled previously or differently used previously. That means the age is 2-digit number and salary is multiple digit number. Now these data points are actual points present in the data set, and these color regions are predictions. So this zero indicates, this red color indicates zero. That means that person is unable to purchase or is not buying that product. Green data, that means that product gets purchased. The person is buying that product. So these are the actual points according to data set. Now what is prediction? What machine is doing? Machine is dividing this data into two parts. One is red color and second is green color. So when your red color points, which are actual points, are majority of these points are in red portion, and your majority of green points, which are actual points, are in green predicted region. That means your algorithm is working fine. Means the accuracy of your algorithm is good. When you are getting complete red points and no green point in your red region, and when you are getting complete green points and no red point in your green region, that means your accuracy is 100%. But in this case, some green points are there in red predicted region and some red points are available in green predicted region. That means your accuracy is nearly 90 to 95% based on number of how many data points you are using. So this is used for prediction purpose. So if any new person having some age and some estimated salary, you want to add that person in your data set, so you can predict or your model can predict whether that person will buy the product or purchase the product or not. So it is used for prediction purpose. This algorithm we can use for prediction purpose. And this is the decision boundary middle line. Now this data is linearly separable. That's why we have used that linear kernel in the algorithm. When your data is non-linearly separable, in that case, you have to use Gaussian as a kernel. In next lecture, we will discuss more about classifiers and different classification algorithms. Please keep visiting our channel, and if you like the video, please subscribe. Thank you.